Before Starfleet's carved borders into the dark, a smaller frontier blazed to life: the lightsaber. Its first promise was simple power. Its lasting promise was memory, carried by whoever dared ignite it. Every blade is a line the galaxy drew through doubt, discipline, and destiny. Follow that line long enough, and it becomes a map of people, choices, and consequences. This is that map, read by the glow that once guided and condemned. In these pages, the blade is both weapon and witness, cutting while remembering. Jedi and Sith pass it hand to hand, and history passes judgment in turn. Listen for the hum behind names you know and names you soon will know: Skywalker and Kenobi, Dooku and Maul, Tano and Yoda, Vizsla and Gideon answer. Their sabers do not just clash, they inherit oaths, betrayals, cultures, and costs. Crystals hear a song in the Force, and hands answer with craft, patience, and risk. From temple caves to Mandalorian thrones, from hidden workshops to battlefield ash, the line persists. Sometimes it becomes a crossguard, a pike, a whip, or a spinning halo of terror. Always it returns to a single moment, when someone decides to ignite meaning from danger. Begin at that first ignition, and follow the glow as it threads 1,000 years. The first spark, in the grand tapestry of galactic history. Few objects carry the weight of both myth and reality. Like the lightsaber, it is an artifact of a more civilized age, yet it has decided the fate of stars. It is a tool of peace, yet it is an unparalleled weapon of war. To understand the lightsaber is to understand the Force itself, for the two are inextricably linked. This is not merely the story of a weapon. It is the story of an idea, an energy, and a covenant, passed from one generation to the next, a symbol of power and a vessel of history. Long before the first blade was ignited, the galaxy was a place of raw energy, where beings first learned to touch the cosmic force that binds all living things. The lightsaber did not emerge from a vacuum. It was the culmination of ancient rituals, advanced technology, and a deep philosophical need to give tangible form to the invisible. From its crude beginnings as a ceremonial sword to its refinement as an elegant plasma blade, its journey mirrors the rise and fall of civilizations, the clash of ideologies, and the personal struggles of those who would wield it. The history of the lightsaber is the history of the Jedi, the Sith, and the very soul of the galaxy. Part 1. The Blade and the Crystal. The earliest ancestors of the lightsaber were far removed from the elegant weapons of the Jedi Order. Ancient Force-wielding orders, such as the Jedi on Tython, used metal swords infused with the Force. These blades were heavy and unwieldy, but they represented the first attempts to channel the Force through a weapon. The true genesis of the modern lightsaber began with the protosaber. These early models were tethered by thick cables to external power packs worn on the belt or back. The design was cumbersome, limiting the wielder's mobility and making intricate dueling forms impossible. Protosabers were a technological marvel for their time, but their limitations were a constant reminder of the gap between a wielder's potential and their equipment's capability. The search for a self-contained power source became the driving obsession for Jedi engineers and artisans. The breakthrough came with the development of internal power cells and refined energy modulation. This liberated the weapon from its tether, transforming it from a clumsy tool into an extension of the wielder's own body. With this evolution, the lightsaber as we know it began to take shape. Central to this new design was the Kyber crystal. These rare, Force-attuned crystals were not mere power sources. They were the heart of the blade. Kyber crystals are unique in that they are living organisms, resonating with the Force and responding to the wielder who finds them. They focus the energy from the power cell into a coherent, contained plasma beam, forming the iconic Blade of Light. The crystal's connection to the Force meant that each lightsaber was intrinsically tied to its creator. The Jedi Order established sacred traditions, around the acquisition and use of kyber. Younglings would undertake a pilgrimage known as the Gathering, traveling to the crystal caves of planets like Ilum or, in ancient times, Christophsis. Within these caves, the kyber crystals would call out through the Force to a specific Padawan, revealing themselves only when the young Jedi had proven their worth by overcoming an internal struggle. This ritual ensured that the bond between a Jedi and their lightsaber was deeply personal, forged in a crucible of self-discovery and attunement with the Force. The color of a Jedi's lightsaber blade was determined by the crystal's natural resonance with its wielder's spirit. The most common colors were blue and green, often reflecting a Jedi's focus on guardianship or consular duties, respectively. Other colors, such as purple, yellow, and orange, were rarer but held no specific prescribed meaning in Jedi doctrine. The Sith, however, had a different relationship with kyber. The living crystals, attuned to the light side of the Force, would not submit willingly to a dark side user. The Sith could not form a bond with a kyber crystal. They had to dominate it. Through a ritual of pain and rage, a Sith would pour their dark side energies into a kyber crystal, overwhelming its natural attunement and forcing it to serve their will. This violent process caused the crystal to bleed, turning its blade a distinctive crimson. This act of violation was a core tenet of Sith philosophy, symbolizing their belief that the Force was a tool to be conquered, not a partner to be respected. In rare instances, a bled crystal could be purified. This required a powerful light side user to heal the crystal, purging the dark side energy and restoring its connection to the light. Purified crystals would turn a brilliant white, symbolizing their redemption and renewed purpose. The construction of a lightsaber was a sacred rite of passage for a Jedi Padawan. After acquiring their crystal, the apprentice would retreat into solitude to assemble their weapon. Using components they had gathered or fabricated, they would meditate on the Force, allowing it to guide their hands. The hilt was a reflection of the builder's personality, preferences, and fighting style. Some were simple and utilitarian, while others were ornate and highly customized. The internal mechanisms, the power cell, the crystal chamber, the emitter matrix, had to be aligned with microscopic precision. A single mistake could result in the weapon detonating upon activation. This meticulous process taught the Padawan discipline, focus, and the delicate balance between the technical and the spiritual. The design of the hilt was often influenced by the dueling forms a Jedi practiced. Form 2, Makashi, favored a curved hilt for greater precision in single-blade combat. Form V, Gemso, often required a heavier, more durable hilt to withstand powerful blows. As the Jedi Order evolved, so too did its traditions. The transmission of knowledge from master to apprentice often included insights into lightsaber construction, with some Jedi lineages developing distinct stylistic signatures. The lightsaber became more than just a tool. It was a masterwork, a diary, and a legacy. Each scratch and modification told a story, and the weapon would often outlive its creator, carrying their history forward into the annals of the Jedi Order. Legends divergence. In Legends continuity, the color of a lightsaber blade was more rigidly defined by a Jedi's chosen class. Blue was for Jedi Guardians, who focused on combat. Green was for Jedi Consulars, who prioritized diplomacy and meditation. Yellow was for Jedi Sentinels, who balanced both disciplines. Other colors were associated with specific factions or materials, such as the silver blades of the Imperial Knights, or the unique properties of synthetic crystals, which were almost always red and favored by the Sith as they could be imbued with greater power through dark side alchemy. Part 2. The Great Types. The standard single-blade lightsaber is the most common and recognizable configuration in the galaxy. Its balanced design makes it incredibly versatile, adaptable to all 7 forms of lightsaber combat. For millennia, it has been the quintessential weapon of both Jedi Knights and Sith Lords. Its construction is straightforward, consisting of a cylindrical or slightly shaped hilt, typically between 25 and 30 centimeters in length, housing a single kyber crystal and an emitter. This design represents a perfect equilibrium between offense and defense, making it the standard by which all other variants are measured. Its simplicity is its strength, allowing the wielder to focus entirely on their connection to the Force and their mastery of combat. The lineage of the Single-Bladed Saber is the lineage of the Jedi and Sith themselves. Its use spans every era of galactic history. In the High Republic, Jedi masters like Avar Kriss and Stellan Gios wielded elegant, customized, single-bladed weapons. During the Clone Wars, this configuration was the standard for Jedi Knights such as Obi-Wan Kenobi, Anakin Skywalker, and Kit Fisto. Obi-Wan Kenobi, in particular, constructed 3 distinct single-bladed lightsabers over his lifetime, each a reflection of his growth as a Jedi. His first was lost on Naboo, his second was taken on Geonosis, and his third, a simple yet powerful design, served him until his final duel with Darth Vader. Anakin Skywalker's second lightsaber, a weapon of immense symbolic importance, would later be passed down through generations. On the Sith side, Darth Sidious concealed a simple, elegant, single-bladed saber, its classic design belying its deadly power. Darth Vader's red-bladed weapon was a perversion of the Jedi standard, a heavy and intimidating instrument built for overwhelming force. In the age of the New Republic, Luke Skywalker constructed his own green-bladed lightsaber, modeling its exterior on Obi-Wan Kenobi's third saber as a tribute to his mentor. The Shoto, or short lightsaber, is a variant with a shorter blade and a smaller hilt, designed for use as an offhand weapon or as a primary saber for beings of smaller stature. Its compact size allows for quick, agile movements and makes it an ideal complement to a standard lightsaber in a dual-blade fighting style like Jar Kai. The Shoto provides a significant advantage in close-quarters combat, allowing a duelist to block and parry attacks that might slip past a single, longer blade. Its construction is identical to a standard saber, merely scaled down. The use of a Shoto requires immense coordination and skill, as the wielder must effectively manage 2 blades of different lengths. The most prominent master of the Shoto was Grand Master Yoda. His small stature made a standard lightsaber impractical, so he constructed a green-bladed Shoto that perfectly suited his acrobatic Ataru combat style. Yoda's mastery of the Shoto was legendary, allowing him to defeat foes many times his size. Another notable wielder was Ahsoka Tano, who constructed a yellow-green Shoto to complement her standard lightsaber during the Clone Wars. Under the guidance of Anakin Skywalker, she became a formidable practitioner of Jar Kai. Her Shoto, allowing for a fluid and unpredictable offensive style. The Jedi Master Kavar, from the Old Republic era, also utilized a Shoto in combat. In the hands of a skilled duelist, the Shoto transforms a defensive weakness into a tactical strength, creating a near-impenetrable guard and a versatile offense. Legends Divergence. In Legends, the Jedi Master Maris Brood, apprenticed to Shak Ti, wielded a pair of Shoto-like tonfas, a highly specialized defensive variant. The Dark Jedi Asajj Ventress also briefly used a Shoto stolen from a fallen Jedi during the Clone Wars, showcasing her adaptability with various weapon configurations before settling on her signature curved hilt sabers. The curved hilt lightsaber, often called a dueling saber, is an elegant and specialized variant designed to facilitate precision and control. The gentle curve of the hilt fits more naturally into the palm, allowing for subtle wrist movements to translate into complex and unpredictable blade arcs. This design is almost exclusively associated with practitioners of Form 2 Makashi, a dueling style that emphasizes finesse, accuracy, and blade-on-blade combat. The curved hilt grants the wielder superior leverage and allows for quick, controlled parries and lightning-fast counterattacks. Its ergonomic shape makes it a difficult weapon to master but devastatingly effective in the hands of a true duelist. The most famous wielder of a curved hilt lightsaber was Count Dooku, a former Jedi Master who became the Sith Lord Darth Tyrannus. Dooku was considered one of the finest duelists in the history of the Jedi Order, and his mastery of Makashi was unparalleled. He constructed his curved hilt saber as a Jedi, and its elegant design and red blade became a symbol of his refined yet menacing presence as the leader of the Separatist Alliance. Dooku's apprentice, Asajj Ventress, also adopted the curved hilt design. She wielded two such sabers, which could be joined together at the pommel to form a double-bladed weapon with a unique shaped curve. This versatile configuration allowed her to switch seamlessly between the precision of Makashi and the aggressive offense of a saber staff. The Jedi Master Komarivosa also wielded a pair of curved hilt sabers, a tradition that Dooku, her former apprentice, would later adopt and perfect. The double-bladed lightsaber, also known as a saber staff, is a formidable and difficult weapon to master. It consists of a long hilt with a kyber crystal and emitter at each end, projecting two blades simultaneously. This design allows for a rapid, overwhelming offense, with the wielder able to attack and defend from multiple angles at once. The spinning motion of a saber staff can create a defensive wall of energy, making it incredibly difficult for an opponent to penetrate. However, the weapon is also dangerous to its user. A moment of inattention can lead to self-inflicted injury. It requires years of dedicated training to handle a double-bladed lightsaber with any degree of proficiency. The saber staff is most famously associated with the Sith. The Sith Lord Exar Kun is credited with its invention in the ancient past. In the modern era, Darth Maul became the most iconic wielder of the double-bladed lightsaber. His red-bladed saber staff, which he could split into two separate weapons, perfectly complemented his aggressive and acrobatic Juyo fighting style. Maul's proficiency with the weapon allowed him to engage two fully trained Jedi, Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi, simultaneously. After Maul, the Jedi Temple Guard adopted a double-bladed spinning lightsaber pike, a more defensive and ceremonial version of the weapon. These yellow-bladed pikes were a symbol of the Guard's unwavering dedication to protecting the Jedi Temple. The Inquisitorius, a sinister organization of Force-sensitive agents serving the Galactic Empire, also utilized a unique variant of the double-bladed spinning lightsaber. Their weapons featured a circular track in the hilt, allowing the blades to spin rapidly and even provide a limited form of levitation. The Crossguard Lightsaber is an ancient and rare design that features two smaller secondary blades, or quillons, venting from the sides of the hilt just below the primary emitter. These vents serve a practical purpose, channeling excess heat and energy from an unstable or overpowered kyber crystal. The quillons provide an additional layer of defense, protecting the wielder's hands and allowing them to catch and trap an opponent's blade. This design dates back to the Great Scourge of Malachor, an ancient battle between the Jedi and the Sith. The raw, untamed power of the lightsabers from that era required such vents to prevent the weapons from overloading. The most prominent example of a crossguard lightsaber in the modern era was the one constructed by Kylo Ren. His weapon was built around a cracked kyber crystal, a result of his conflicted spirit and rushed construction after his fall to the dark side. The fractured crystal could not properly contain the energy from the power cell, producing a ragged, unstable blade. The two side vents were a necessary modification to channel the volatile energy, preventing the hilt from exploding. The resulting weapon was a crude but powerful instrument. Its crackling, fiery appearance, a perfect reflection of Kylo Ren's own inner turmoil and explosive rage. The design, while ancient, was a practical solution to a flawed crystal, a testament to the idea that form in a lightsaber is often dictated by function and necessity. The Guard Shoto, also known as a lightsaber tonfa, is a highly specialized variant, featuring a second handle extending from the main hilt at a 90-degree angle. This design allows the wielder to hold the weapon along their forearm, providing exceptional defensive capabilities. The main blade can be used to block incoming attacks, creating a shield-like barrier, while the shorter length of the blade projecting from the top of the hilt is ideal for quick, stabbing attacks in close quarters. The Guard Shoto is an unconventional weapon that requires a unique fighting style, blending defensive postures with sudden aggressive strikes. It is favored by those who prioritize protection and control in a duel. The record of Guard Shoto wielders in current canon is limited, with its most notable appearance being in the hands of the Jedi Master Sinube. However, its design philosophy highlights the diverse and adaptable nature of lightsaber construction. It represents a departure from traditional dueling forms, focusing instead on a pragmatic and defensive approach to combat. The Guard Shoto is a testament to the ingenuity of Jedi artisans and their ability to create tools tailored to specific needs and tactical situations. Its rarity suggests that it is a difficult weapon to master and is only suited to a select few practitioners who have dedicated themselves to its unique form. Legends Divergence. The Maris Brood character from the Force Unleashed video game series famously wielded a pair of green-bladed Guard Shotos. Her fighting style was agile and unpredictable, using the weapons for both rapid offense and a nearly impenetrable defense. Her use of this rare variant made her a memorable and challenging opponent for Starkiller, Darth Vader's secret apprentice. Great Sabers, also known as long-hilt lightsabers, are oversized variants designed for wielders of great physical strength or those who prefer a two-handed fighting style. The extended hilt, sometimes twice the length of a standard saber, provides increased leverage and allows for more powerful, sweeping attacks. This design is often associated with practitioners of Form V, Gemso, a style that emphasizes strength and overwhelming an opponent with powerful blows. The added weight and length of the hilt make the Great Saber a formidable weapon, capable of delivering devastating strikes and easily breaking through an opponent's guard. However, it is slower and less maneuverable than a standard lightsaber, making it less suitable for quick, precise dueling. The use of great sabers is relatively rare in the history of the Jedi and Sith. Beings of larger stature, such as the Dawutin, have been known to construct lightsabers with longer hilts to better fit their grip. The Dark Jedi Pongkrell, a basilisk with 4 arms, wielded 2 double-bladed lightsabers that could be considered a form of great saber due to their size and his powerful two-handed grip on each. The concept of the great saber emphasizes the importance of tailoring a weapon to the physical characteristics and fighting style of the wielder. It demonstrates that there is no single ideal lightsaber design. Rather, the most effective weapon is one that is in perfect harmony with its user. The light whip is one of the most exotic and dangerous lightsaber variants. It produces a long, flexible blade of energy that behaves like a whip, allowing the wielder to strike from a distance and around an opponent's defenses. The light whip is an incredibly difficult weapon to control, requiring immense skill and concentration to avoid self-injury. Its unpredictable flowing movements make it a terrifying weapon in the hands of a master. The construction of a light whip is complex, often involving multiple small kyber crystals or a specialized emitter that allows the energy blade to remain flexible without dissipating. It is a weapon of surprise and intimidation, favored by those who prefer unconventional tactics. Within the current canon, the Jedi Master Vernestra Arwo from the High Republic era is the most notable wielder of a light whip. A Jedi prodigy who passed her trials at a young age, Vernestra modified her purple-bladed lightsaber with a switch that could change the blade from a standard, rigid form into a flexible whip. This unique modification gave her a significant tactical advantage, allowing her to surprise her enemies and adapt her fighting style to any situation. Her use of the light whip was a testament to her ingenuity and her willingness to explore new and unconventional applications of the Force and lightsaber technology. The light whip remains a rare and mysterious weapon, a symbol of the outer fringes of lightsaber design. The Saber Pike, or lightsaber pike, is a variant that combines the properties of a lightsaber with a traditional polearm. It features a long, staff-like shaft made of frick alloy or another lightsaber-resistant material, with a small lightsaber emitter at one or both ends. This design provides the wielder with extended reach, making it an effective weapon for keeping opponents at a distance and for crowd control. The shaft can be used for blocking and striking, while the lightsaber blade provides the cutting power. The saber pike is a balanced and defensive weapon, favored by guards and sentinels. The most prominent users of the saber pike were the Jedi Temple Guard during the final years of the Galactic Republic. Their double-bladed yellow spinning pikes were a symbol of their anonymous and unwavering service to the Jedi Order. The long frick shaft made the weapon highly effective for defense, allowing the guards to create an impenetrable barrier. The spinning function added a layer of intimidation and offensive capability. Later, during the reign of the Empire, the Grand Inquisitor was known to study the records of the Temple Guard, and the spinning double-ring sabers of the Inquisitorius can be seen as a dark evolution of the Temple Guard's pike design. The saber pike represents a fusion of ancient and modern weapon design, a practical and effective tool for a specific defensive role. The spinning double-bladed lightsaber of the Inquisitorius is a unique and terrifying weapon designed for intimidation and combat against Jedi. This variant features two red blades on opposite ends of a circular track within the hilt. This allows the blades to spin at high speeds, creating a disorienting and deadly offensive weapon. The spinning motion can also be used to provide a limited form of helicopter-like flight or to slow a fall, giving the Inquisitors a significant mobility advantage. The weapon can be used as a standard double-bladed saber or split into two separate single-bladed lightsabers, making it highly versatile. The design is a perversion of the Jedi Temple Guard's spinning pike, twisted to serve the dark side. Every member of the Inquisitorius, from the Grand Inquisitor down to the lesser-known brothers and sisters, was issued a variant of this weapon. The Grand Inquisitor, a former Jedi Temple Guard himself, was a master of its use. Other notable Inquisitors, such as the Seventh Sister and the Fifth Brother, demonstrated great proficiency with the spinning saber in their hunts for Jedi survivors like Ahsoka Tano and Kanan Jarrus. The weapon's intimidating design and multiple functions made it a symbol of the Empire's terrifying Jedi purge. It was not a weapon of honor or precision. It was an instrument of terror, designed to hunt, demoralize, and destroy the last remnants of the Jedi Order. Hybrid builds, which combine a lightsaber with another type of weapon, are rare but effective creations that showcase the ingenuity of their wielders. The most common hybrid is the blaster-saber combination, which incorporates a functional blaster pistol into the hilt of a lightsaber. This provides the user with both a melee and a ranged attack option, making them a versatile and unpredictable opponent. Such a weapon requires a high degree of skill to use effectively, as the wielder must be proficient in both lightsaber combat and marksmanship. The design is often a product of necessity, built by individuals who cannot rely solely on traditional Jedi or Sith training. The most notable example of a hybrid blaster saber was the one constructed by the Padawan Ezra Bridger during the early days of the rebellion. Lacking formal training and resources, Ezra built a unique weapon that reflected his scrappy, self-reliant nature. His lightsaber could function as a standard blue-bladed weapon, but the hilt also contained a stun blaster, allowing him to incapacitate enemies from a distance. This unconventional design often surprised his Imperial opponents, giving him a tactical edge. While his master, Kanan Jarrus, initially disapproved of the weapon's unorthodox nature, he came to respect the practicality and ingenuity it represented. Ezra's blaster saber was a symbol of the rebellion itself, resourceful, unconventional, and forged in the crucible of conflict. Training sabers are low-powered lightsabers used by Jedi younglings and Padawans during their initial stages of training. These weapons have a blade of similar size and weight to a real lightsaber, but their power is calibrated to a non-lethal level. A strike from a training saber will deliver a painful sting and a significant static shock, but it will not dismember or kill. This allows students to practice dueling forms and blade work in a safe, controlled environment. Training sabers teach young Jedi to respect the weapon and to understand the consequences of a mistake without causing permanent harm. They are an essential tool in the pedagogy of the Jedi Order. Nearly every Jedi in the history of the Order began their journey with a training saber. Famous masters like Yoda and Sindralig used these tools to instruct generations of younglings in the Jedi Temple. Scenes from the final days of the Republic show younglings practicing with training sabers under the watchful eye of their instructors. Luke Skywalker also used a form of training saber, the remote droid, to practice deflecting blaster bolts aboard the Millennium Falcon. The design of training sabers is typically simple and standardized, lacking the personalization of a Jedi Knight's own constructed weapon. They are a symbol of the beginning of a Jedi's path, a reminder that even the greatest masters started with the basics. The cane saber, or concealed hilt lightsaber, is a specialized design that disguises the weapon as a harmless walking stick or another mundane object. This allows the wielder to carry their lightsaber in plain sight without drawing attention, making it an ideal tool for espionage, infiltration, or for Jedi in hiding. The hilt is typically housed within the cane's handle, with the blade emitter concealed until activated. This design requires sophisticated engineering to ensure that the weapon can be deployed quickly and reliably. The cane saber is a weapon of subtlety and surprise, favored by those who prefer to avoid conflict, but are always prepared for it. The most famous example of a cane saber was the one wielded by the ancient Jedi Master Tera Sinube during the Clone Wars. His lightsaber was concealed within the head of his walking cane, a clever disguise that reflected his patient and observant nature. Another notable user of a concealed hilt was the blind Jedi Master Ram Kota, although his was built into a more traditional staff. In a broader sense, the concept of concealing a lightsaber was a common practice for Jedi survivors of Order 66. Obi-Wan Kenobi, for example, kept his lightsaber hidden away during his exile on Tatooine. The cane saber represents the pinnacle of this practice, a perfect fusion of form, function, and subterfuge. Unique ancestral relics are lightsabers that have been passed down through generations or hold significant cultural importance to a particular group or family. These weapons are more than just tools. They are symbols of heritage, power, and destiny. Their histories are often intertwined with major historical events, and their ownership can be a source of great pride or conflict. These relics are often highly customized and may possess unique properties or design elements that reflect the traditions of their original creators. They serve as a physical link to the past, carrying the legacy of all who have wielded them. The most prominent example of an ancestral relic is the Skywalker lightsaber, the blue-bladed weapon constructed by Anakin Skywalker and later passed to his son, Luke, and then to Rey. This lightsaber was present at some of the most pivotal moments in galactic history, from the Clone Wars to the fall of the Empire and the rise of the First Order. Another significant ancestral relic is the Darksaber, a unique black-bladed lightsaber created by the first Mandalorian Jedi, Tare Vizsla. The Darksaber became a symbol of leadership for the Mandalorian people, and its ownership was traditionally decided by trial by combat. Both of these weapons carry immense historical and symbolic weight, and their journeys are central to the story of the galaxy. The Darksaber is a one-of-a-kind lightsaber with a unique, black-bladed energy stream that is shorter and more sword-like than a traditional lightsaber. It was created by Tar Vizsla, the first Mandalorian to be inducted into the Jedi Order, over 1,000 years before the Clone Wars. The blade is flat and curved, absorbing light and surrounded by a faint white aura. It also produces a higher-pitched, more electric sound than other lightsabers. After Vizsla's death, the Darksaber was kept in the Jedi Temple until it was stolen by members of House Vizsla. It became a symbol of leadership for their house and, eventually, for all of Mandalore. According to Mandalorian tradition, the Darksaber cannot be given. It must be won in combat. The one who wields it is seen as the rightful ruler of Mandalore. The lineage of the Darksaber is long and storied. After being stolen from the Jedi Temple, it was passed down through generations of House Vizsla. During the Clone Wars, it was wielded by Pre Vizsla, the leader of the Mandalorian terrorist group Death Watch. Vizsla used the Darksaber in his failed attempt to overthrow the pacifist government of Duchess Satine Kryze. He was later challenged and defeated by Darth Maul, who claimed the Darksaber and used it to unite the Mandalorian clans under his rule. Maul wielded the Darksaber for years, even after losing control of Mandalore. He eventually brought it to his homeworld of Dathomir, where it was discovered by the Mandalorian rebel Sabine Wren. Sabine learned to wield the Darksaber and used it to rally her people against the Empire. She later gifted it to Bo-Katan Kryze, who she believed was the rightful leader to unite Mandalore. Bo-Katan lost the saber to Moff Gideon during the Great Purge of Mandalore. Years later, the Mandalorian bounty hunter Din Djarin defeated Moff Gideon in combat, making him the Darksaber's rightful owner. Part 3. Unique Blades and Their Journeys. The journey of the Skywalker lightsaber is a saga in itself, a blue thread running through the most critical moments of galactic history. It was forged by the Jedi Knight Anakin Skywalker during the height of the Clone Wars, his second lightsaber after his first was destroyed on Geonosis. This weapon, with its classic Graflex-inspired hilt and brilliant blue blade, became an extension of Anakin himself. He wielded it in countless battles, from the Outer Rim sieges to the corridors of the Separatist flagship where he executed Count Dooku. It was the weapon he used to cut down the Separatist leaders on Mustafar, and the one he tragically wielded against his former master, Obi-Wan Kenobi. In that fateful duel, the lightsaber was lost, left on the black shores of Mustafar along with Anakin's broken body. Obi-Wan Kenobi recovered the lightsaber, recognizing its immense historical significance. He kept it safe during his long exile on Tatooine, a painful memento of his fallen friend and the Republic they had served. Nearly 2 decades later, he passed the weapon to Anakin's son, Luke Skywalker, telling him it was his father's. For Luke, the lightsaber was a symbol of a destiny he was just beginning to understand. He trained with it under Obi-Wan's guidance and used it to disable the tractor beam on the first Death Star. His connection to the weapon deepened until his confrontation with Darth Vader on Bespin. In that duel, Luke learned the terrible truth of his parentage and lost both his hand and his father's lightsaber, which fell into the depths of Cloud City. The record is unclear as to how the lightsaber was recovered from Cloud City. However, it eventually found its way into the possession of Maz Kanata, who kept it locked away in a chest in her castle on Takodana for decades. It remained there until it was discovered by the scavenger Rey. The lightsaber called out to her through the Force, showing her a powerful vision of its past, present, and future. Rey initially rejected the weapon, but it was later given to Finn, who used it to defend her against Kylo Ren on Starkiller Base. Rey ultimately accepted her destiny, summoning the lightsaber to her and battling Kylo Ren to a standstill. The weapon became hers, and in a symbolic moment, it was split in two during a struggle between Rey and Kylo Ren. Rey healed the Kyber crystal and rebuilt the lightsaber, carrying the legacy of the Skywalkers forward as she faced the reborn Emperor Palpatine. She later buried it on Tatooine, laying the Skywalker legacy to rest. The Darksaber's history is the history of Mandalore's soul. Forged by the Mandalorian Jedi Tare Vizsla, its unique black blade became a symbol of absolute power. After Vizsla's passing, His descendants from House Vizsla stole the blade from the Jedi Temple, transforming it from a Jedi relic into a Mandalorian crown. For centuries, it was the centerpiece of their clan's authority. Its story re-enters the galactic stage during the Clone Wars, in the hands of Pre Vizsla. He led the Death Watch, a faction seeking to restore Mandalore's warrior past. He wielded the Darksaber as his birthright, a tool to challenge the pacifist rule of Duchess Satine. His quest for power led him into a fatal alliance with Darth Maul. Maul, a being defined by his own quest for power, saw the Darksaber not as a birthright, but as a prize. He challenged Pre Vizsla to a duel for leadership of the Death Watch, and, by extension, Mandalore. Maul defeated and executed Vizsla, claiming the Darksaber and the loyalty of a portion of the Mandalorian people. This act plunged Mandalore into civil war. Maul ruled as a shadow leader, the Darksaber his scepter, until he was driven from the planet. He kept the weapon as a personal trophy, a reminder of the power he had once held. It was stored in the Night Sister lair on Dathomir, a relic among other darkside artifacts, until it was found by the Mandalorian rebel Sabine Wren. Sabine, herself a member of Clan Wren, a vassal of House Vizsla, was initially reluctant to take up the blade. She saw it as a symbol of the division and pain that had torn her world apart. Urged on by her rebel comrades, she trained with the Jedi Kanan Jarrus to master the Darksaber, confronting her own past in the process. She became a proficient wielder, using it not to rule, but to inspire. Sabine used the Darksaber to unite the clans against the Imperial-backed Saxon clan. Recognizing that she was not the leader Mandalore needed, she passed the Darksaber to Bo-Katan Kryze, the sister of the late Duchess Satine. Bo-Katan accepted the blade, and for a time, it seemed Mandalore was united. However, this unity was shattered during the Great Purge, and Bo-Katan lost the saber to the Imperial Moff Gideon. Years later, the bounty hunter Din Djarin defeated Gideon, winning the Darksaber through combat and becoming its reluctant but rightful owner. Darth Maul's double-bladed lightsaber was a weapon that struck terror across the galaxy. Its twin crimson blades and the demonic silhouette of its wielder became a symbol of the Sith's return. The weapon was a perfect match for Maul's ferocious Juyo combat style, allowing him to engage multiple opponents with a whirling storm of attacks. He famously used this saber to kill the Jedi Master Qui-Gon Jinn on Naboo. However, in his subsequent duel with Obi-Wan Kenobi, Maul's arrogance led to his downfall. Obi-Wan bisected the saber staff and then Maul himself. The two halves of the lightsaber were lost, but Maul's legacy with the weapon was cemented. After his miraculous survival and reconstruction, Maul used various lightsabers. He wielded the Darksaber for a significant period. Later, he was seen with a new single-bladed lightsaber, often paired with the Darksaber in dual-blade combat. In the years leading up to the Galactic Civil War, Maul acquired a new weapon, a double-bladed spinning lightsaber, its hilt containing the remnants of a Sith Inquisitor's saber that he had modified. This weapon was less of a staff and more of a bladed gauntlet, its blades capable of extending and retracting. He used this unique saber in his hunt for Obi-Wan Kenobi, his final obsession. In their last brief duel on Tatooine, Obi-Wan expertly dispatched Maul, ending the former Sith Lord's tragic story. The lineage of Maul's specific saber designs ends with him, but his popularization of the double-bladed lightsaber influenced Sith and dark side users for generations to come. Count Dooku's curved hilt lightsaber was a weapon of lethal elegance. As a Jedi Master, Dooku was renowned as a master of Form 2, Makashi, and he constructed the saber to maximize his advantage in that form. The curved hilt allowed for unparalleled precision and control, turning his blade into an extension of his will. When he fell to the dark side and became Darth Tyrannus, he retained his signature weapon. Its blade now bled to a menacing crimson. The saber became a symbol of his aristocratic and deadly persona. He He wielded it against Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi on Geonosis, defeating them both. He later dueled his former master, Yoda, to a standstill before fleeing. Dooku's influence can be seen in the weapons of his acolytes. Asajj Ventress, his dark side assassin, wielded a pair of curved hilt sabers that could be connected to form a saber staff. Her weapons were a direct homage to her master's design, though adapted to her own unique fighting style. The tradition of the curved hilt did not end with Dooku's death at the hands of Anakin Skywalker. The design philosophy of Makashi and the specialized tool created for it remained a part of combat lore. Dooku's lightsaber itself was lost after his execution aboard the Invisible Hand. His legacy, however, is one of supreme mastery of a single combat form, and his lightsaber remains the ultimate example of a weapon perfectly tailored to its purpose. Mace Windu's amethyst-bladed lightsaber is one of the most distinctive in the Jedi Order's history. The unique purple color of its kyber crystal has been the subject of much discussion, but within canon, it simply reflects Windu's unique spirit. The hilt of his lightsaber was as distinctive as its blade, with electrum gold accents that denoted his high rank on the Jedi Council. Windu was the creator and sole master of Form 7, Va'apad, a highly aggressive and dangerous combat style that teetered on the edge of the dark side. Va'apad channeled the wielder's inner darkness and turned it back against their opponent. Windu's lightsaber was the instrument through which he practiced this demanding form. Windu wielded his amethyst blade throughout the Clone Wars, becoming one of the Order's most formidable warriors. He famously used it to defeat the bounty hunter Jango Fett on Geonosis. His most significant duel was against Darth Sidious in the Chancellor's office on Coruscant. Using Va'apad, Windu was able to turn Sidious's own dark side energy against him, disarming the Sith Lord and seemingly winning the duel. However, before he could deliver the final blow, he was betrayed by Anakin Skywalker. Sidious unleashed a torrent of Force lightning, which Windu attempted to block with his saber. The combined energy shattered the window, and Windu was thrown from the building, his lightsaber falling with him into the depths of Coruscant, lost forever. Ahsoka Tano's journey is uniquely reflected in the evolution of her lightsabers. As a Padawan, she initially wielded a single, standard green-bladed lightsaber. As her skills grew, she constructed a second, shorter yellow-green shoto to complement her main weapon. This dual-blade Jarkai style became her signature, a testament to her agile and unconventional approach to combat, heavily influenced by her master, Anakin Skywalker. She used these two sabers throughout the Clone Wars, becoming a hero of the Republic. When she left the Jedi Order, she left her lightsabers behind, a symbolic gesture of her disillusionment. Anakin kept her main saber, returning it to her just before the Siege of Mandalore. After Order 66, Ahsoka was forced into hiding. She eventually confronted an Inquisitor, the sixth brother, and defeated him. She took the kyber crystals from his spinning double-bladed lightsaber, which were red and bled by the dark side. Through a powerful act of Force healing, Ahsoka purified the crystals, turning them a brilliant, pure white. She then constructed two new lightsaber hilts, one a standard saber and one a shoto, with distinctive curved and minimalist designs. These white-bladed lightsabers symbolized her status as a Force wielder, unaffiliated with either the Jedi or the Sith. They represented a new beginning, a purified purpose. She would wield these blades for decades as she aided the Rebel Alliance and searched for her lost friend, Ezra Bridger. Yoda's shoto was a weapon perfectly suited to its master. Given his small stature, a standard lightsaber would have been unwieldy. His green-bladed shoto allowed him to fully leverage his mastery of Form 4, Ataru, an acrobatic and highly energetic combat style. The small, lightweight weapon moved as an extension of his own body as he leaped and spun through the battlefield. Despite its size, Yoda's shoto was a match for any weapon in the galaxy, a testament to the fact that size matters not when one is strong with the Force. He used this saber to confront Count Dooku on Geonosis, and later to battle Darth Sidious in the Senate chamber. In that duel, Yoda lost his Shoto when it was blasted from his hand, falling to the floor of the chamber far below. He fled into exile on Dagobah without it. The doctrinal meaning of his Shoto was one of practicality and humility. It was a tool, not a status symbol, perfectly designed for its wielder's needs without any unnecessary embellishment. Obi-Wan Kenobi's journey as a Jedi can be tracked through the 3 lightsabers he constructed. His first, as a Padawan, was a simple but functional weapon with a blue blade. He lost this saber during his duel with Darth Maul on Naboo, a harsh lesson in preparedness. His second saber was very similar in design to his first, a sign of his adherence to tradition. He used this weapon throughout the early stages of the Clone Wars until it was confiscated on Geonosis. His third and final lightsaber was his most iconic. Its design featured a thin neck below the emitter, a distinctive feature that would later be emulated by his apprentice's son, Luke. This saber served him for the remainder of the Clone Wars, and through his long exile on Tatooine, he wielded it in his final duel against Darth Vader, sacrificing himself to allow Luke and the others to escape. Darth Vader's first lightsaber as a Sith Lord was constructed using the Kyber crystal of the Jedi Master Kirak Infila, whom he hunted and killed shortly after the events of Mustafar. Vader took the Jedi's saber, bled the crystal, and built a new hilt around it, one that was functional and intimidating, much like his armor. This weapon was a brutalist interpretation of the classic Jedi design, a tool of terror. He wielded this saber for nearly 2 decades, using it to enforce the Emperor's will and hunt down the remaining Jedi. He used it to strike down his old master, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and to defeat his son, Luke Skywalker, on Bespin. This lightsaber was destroyed when it fell into the reactor core of the second Death Star after Luke severed Vader's hand in their final duel. The standard-issue Inquisitorius lightsaber was a weapon of fear. As detailed earlier, its spinning double-bladed design was versatile and intimidating. While the core design was standardized, some Inquisitors made minor modifications. The Grand Inquisitor's hilt had a more detailed and personalized handguard. The Second Sister's hilt was more compact, reflecting her agile fighting style. The Ninth Sister, a large Dawutin, wielded a larger version of the weapon to suit her size. These minor variations show that even within a standardized military organization, some degree of personalization was permitted, allowing each Inquisitor to tailor their weapon to their own physical and tactical preferences. The shared design, however, served as a uniform, instantly identifying them as agents of the Empire and hunters of the Jedi. Ezra Bridger's journey is reflected in his 2 lightsabers. His first was a unique hybrid weapon that combined a blue-bladed lightsaber with a stun blaster. This resourceful design was a product of his unorthodox upbringing and lack of formal Jedi training. It was a practical, multi-purpose tool that served him well in the early days of his training. The weapon was destroyed in a duel with Darth Vader on Malachor. This loss marked a turning point for Ezra, forcing him to rely more on his connection to the Force. He later constructed a second, more traditional lightsaber with a green blade. This new weapon symbolized his growth and maturity as a Jedi Knight. Its simple, functional design reflected his deeper understanding of the Jedi path, moving away from gadgets and gimmicks and embracing a more direct connection to the Force. Rey's yellow-bladed lightsaber represents the future of the Jedi. After the defeat of Palpatine, Rey traveled to the Lars homestead on Tatooine, the place where the Skywalker saga began. There, she buried the lightsabers of Luke and Leia, laying their legacy to rest. She then revealed her own, newly constructed lightsaber. The hilt was built from salvaged parts of her signature quarterstaff, a powerful symbol of her journey from a scavenger on Jakku to a Jedi Knight. When ignited, the saber produced a brilliant yellow blade, a color rarely seen among the Jedi. This final act of creating a weapon that was uniquely hers, forged from her own past, symbolized the beginning of a new chapter for the Jedi Order, one built on the lessons of the past but not beholden to them. Part 4. Techniques, Forms, and How They Shape the Hilt. The relationship between a lightsaber's design and the combat forms practiced by its wielder is a fundamental aspect of Jedi and Sith tradition. The hilt is not merely a handle, it is an interface, ergonomically tailored to facilitate the movements of a specific fighting style. Form 1. Shi-Cho, the most basic form, is adaptable to any hilt design, as it focuses on fundamental strikes and parries. Form 2, Makashi, is the duelist form, emphasizing precision, footwork, and blade control. Practitioners of Makashi, like Count Dooku, almost universally favor a curved hilt. The curve provides better ergonomic alignment for the subtle wrist movements and lunges that define the form, allowing for greater accuracy and a more fluid offense. Form 3, Soresu, is the ultimate defensive form, designed to provide maximum protection with minimal energy expenditure. A Soresu master, like Obi-Wan Kenobi, favors a simple, standard hilt that is comfortable and well-balanced for prolonged defensive postures. The weapon becomes a shield, and its design prioritizes reliability and control over offensive flourishes. In contrast, Form 4, Ataru, is an aggressive acrobatic style that relies on speed, agility, and constant movement. Ataru users, like Yoda and Qui-Gon Jinn, need a lightweight, maneuverable hilt. A Shoto, in Yoda's case, is the ultimate expression of this, a weapon that is almost weightless, allowing for unimpeded acrobatic sequences. Form 6 has two branches. The first, Shien, focuses on deflecting blaster bolts back at the attacker. The second, Jem-So, emphasizes strength and counteroffense, overwhelming an opponent with powerful strikes. Practitioners of Jem-So, like Anakin Skywalker and later Luke Skywalker, often use a standard but sturdy hilt, sometimes with a slightly heavier build, to add momentum to their powerful blow. The hilt must be durable enough to withstand the intense, repeated impacts of blade-on-blade combat. The design prioritizes strength and a secure grip, essential for a form that relies on brute force. Form 6, Niman, is a balanced, moderate form that integrates lightsaber combat with force powers. It is a jack-of-all-trades style, and its practitioners often use a standard, versatile hilt. Niman is also the form most commonly associated with dual-blade fighting, or Jar-Kai. Wielders like Ahsoka Tano use a combination of a standard saber and a Shoto, requiring hilts that are lightweight and easily handled in tandem. The focus is on creating a fluid, unpredictable rhythm of attacks from multiple angles. Finally, Form 7 has two variants. The first, Juyo, is a ferocious, unpredictable style that requires immense energy and emotional control. Darth Maul was a master of Juyo, and his double-bladed lightsaber allowed for the constant, overwhelming offense that defines the form. The second variant, Va'apad, developed by Mace Windu, required a hilt that could withstand the intense energy feedback of channeling both light and dark side power. His sturdy, electrum-accented hilt was a vessel for this incredible power, a tool designed for the most demanding of all combat forms. Part 5. Eras of Change. The design and philosophy of the lightsaber have evolved in concert with the shifting political and cultural landscape of the galaxy. During the High Republic, an era of peace and exploration, the Jedi Order was at its zenith. This was reflected in their lightsabers, which were often elegant, ornate, and highly customized. Weapons from this period, like those of Avar Kriss or Stellan Gios, featured intricate designs, precious metal inlays, and unique features like the crossguard on Stellan's saber. These were not just weapons, they were works of art, symbols of the Order's confidence and prosperity. The variety of blade colors was also greater, with white, orange, and yellow appearing alongside the more common blue and green. The Late Republic era, leading into the Clone Wars, saw a move towards more standardized and utilitarian designs. While personalization was still common, the hilts became more focused on practicality and combat readiness. The looming threat of war stripped away some of the ornamentation of the past, replacing it with a grim functionality. The Clone Wars were the crucible that tested this generation of weapons. Lightsabers were tools of war, wielded on 1,000 battlefields, and their designs reflected this reality. They were simple, reliable, and built for the harsh realities of constant conflict. The era of the Jedi Purge forced a radical shift in lightsaber construction and use. With the Jedi Order destroyed and its resources scattered, survivors were forced to improvise. Jedi in hiding, like Kanan Jarrus, often kept their lightsabers disassembled, a practical measure to avoid detection. New lightsabers built during this period, like Ezra Bridger's first blaster saber, were often crude, built from scavenged parts and reflecting a desperate need for survival. Scarcity of resources and the lack of formal instruction led to unconventional but practical designs. The lightsaber became less of a symbol of a grand order and more of a personal tool for rebellion and self-defense. With the rise of the New Republic, a new era of pluralism in lightsaber design began. Luke Skywalker, having trained himself, built a green-bladed lightsaber based on the memory of Obi-Wan Kenobi's weapon, a bridge between the old order and the new. His students would have followed his lead, learning to construct their own weapons, leading to a new diversity of forms. The post-Imperial resurgence saw the First Order's Kylo Ren construct a crude, unstable Crossguard Saber, a dark mirror of the ancient High Republic designs. This weapon was a physical manifestation of the First Order's ideology, an attempt to replicate the power of the past without understanding its foundations. Finally, Rey's yellow-bladed saber, forged from her own staff, symbolized a new path forward, one that honors the past but is not chained to it. This era is defined by a search for identity, and the lightsabers of this time reflect that personal journey. Part 6. Philosophy of the Blade. The lightsaber is far more than a weapon. It is a physical manifestation of a deep philosophical covenant. For the Jedi, the construction of a lightsaber is a spiritual journey. The attunement with a living kyber crystal creates a bond, a partnership between the wielder and the heart of their blade. The lightsaber is a Jedi's constant companion, a tool for defense, and a symbol of their commitment to peace and justice. To draw a lightsaber is a solemn act, a last resort when all other options have failed. The weapon is a credential, identifying its wielder as a guardian of the peace, but it is also a burden, a constant reminder of the responsibility that comes with such power. For the Sith, the philosophy is one of domination. The kyber crystal is not a partner to be bonded with, but an object to be broken and subjugated. The act of bleeding a crystal, forcing it to serve the dark side, is a perfect metaphor for the Sith's relationship with the Force itself. They see the Force as a power to be bent to their will, a tool for achieving their ambitions. The crimson blade of a Sith lightsaber is a symbol of this violation, a declaration of their power and their rejection of the Jedi's passive philosophy. The lightsaber is not a burden to a Sith. It is an instrument of their power, a means to an end, and a symbol of their ultimate authority. Cultural ownership codes add another layer of complexity to the philosophy of the blade. The Darksaber is the preeminent example of this. For Mandalorians, its ownership is not determined by the Force or by inheritance, but by the ancient rite of trial by combat. The Darksaber is a symbol of leadership, and to wield it is to carry the weight of all of Mandalore. Its transfer from one hand to another is a political act, capable of uniting or dividing an entire people. This stands in stark contrast to the Jedi's personal bond with their weapon. For Mandalorians, the history of the blade is the history of their nation, and its wielder is not just a duelist, but a ruler. This cultural context demonstrates that the meaning of a lightsaber can transcend the dichotomy of Jedi and Sith, becoming a powerful symbol of identity for an entire civilization. Epilogue: The Last Ignition. The story of the lightsaber is a story without end. It is a living historical record, a chronicle of the galaxy's greatest heroes and most terrifying villains. Each hilt is a sculpture, each crystal a soul, and each ignition a new chapter in an epic saga. The blade is passed from master to apprentice, from father to son, from friend to stranger, from one generation to the next. It has been a king's ransom, a hermit's secret, a tyrant's scepter, and a scavenger's destiny. As long as there is a struggle between light and darkness, as long as there are those willing to stand against the shadow, the lightsaber will remain. It is a symbol of hope in the darkness, a promise of a more civilized age, and its brilliant light will continue to illuminate the path for heroes yet to come.